You know the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him good at fighting. Death Sentence has shown a lot of improvement since he started training with Demetrious Johnson, but he has still struggled in his most recent fights, which leads me to wonder who has benefited the most from this partnership. Because in my opinion, there is a very thin line between helping Death Sentence and just using him for content. Especially when it's not just a one-man operation. DJ has a couple of producers and a couple of editors, and he's very growth-focused on YouTube right now with a whole team of people behind him. So even though the regular videos are doing well, you gotta continue pushing the envelope. 2 of the Death Sentence videos are in the top 10 videos on the channel in terms of views, and that was done in a fraction of the time as the other top videos. So he obviously draws viewership, but how much does he truly gain from Mighty Mouse? And do some of the cons maybe outweigh some of the pros of being a better fighter? Death Sentence, since first training with Demetrious Johnson, has finally got his first win. He improved his record to 1-4, but his only win came in a fight where he was losing. He kept hitting his opponent in the back of the head, so the other guy kind of just quit. Illuminate the State, that was the guy's name. He said, "I ain't gonna fight him if he keeps hitting me in the back of the head." Exactly like that. Then Mr. Sentence celebrated like he won a belt. The other guy was 1-10 or something like that, so I don't know if this is quite the achievement. And Winged C is on top of the cage instigating. Chat, did he just quit, chat? Did Death Sentence just get his first win, chat? Street Beefs isn't live streamed. None of DJ's videos with Death Sentence are live streamed either. There is no chat. There was never no chat. As a side tangent, the meaning of the word chat has just been mangled beyond recognition. Winged C, as a concept, infuriates me. Malcolm Schuler has a topology page and he's 4-1. A decent amateur fighter, but his tattoos are god-awful, and his taunting of DJ and the floating around, making sound effects isn't helping his development. And DJ doesn't have to put up with this. He can just leave. He stays for Death Sentence because he's the main focus, but also maybe because he doesn't want to miss out on all this juicy content. DJ even got mad at Winged C in a testimonial, and I agree with him about the whole chat thing and the clip farming thing, and how it doesn't really make sense and how it's foreign to him, foreign to me too. But he has sort of brought this upon himself. If Winged C is in there with DJ and he's clip farming, how different is that from DJ and his team using Death Sentence to farm some easy content? He's doing it in a more mature way, but it's still happening. You could argue that I'm doing the same, but it's also at a smaller scale, hopefully is less predatory, and is meant to shed light on the issue.
God fucking damn it.
Death Sentence's second fight with DJ's training didn't go too well. He almost locked in this nasty rear naked choke in the first 10 seconds, and then slowly faded until he was TKO'd late in the first. This isn't an indictment of DJ's training, more so just a result of a competent opponent. There are parts where it does seem very well-meaning, and there's other times where it feels like they're trying to make Death Sentence the butt of the joke, like when they're in the park and he's shadowboxing and he's putting some serious volume out there. And then they pan over to Mighty Mouse, and he looks over at the camera with this shit-eating grin, reminiscent of Jim from The Office when Dwight is off doing tomfoolery. Because he is the joke, they are laughing at him, not with him. Now, there are still plenty of moments where DJ imparts some wisdom that ends up being helpful, and I think his involvement generally is a net positive, but the attention that DJ has brought has emboldened Death Sentence to play to the cameramen and put on a show, which isn't necessarily helping with his development. Death Sentence has more success when he's alone or being treated seriously, not indulging his fantasies about being a killer or an anime protagonist or what have you, not treating that seriously, but acting like he's someone who knows very little and is eager to learn. When he was at the BJJ gym with DJ, and then also training with Brandon, shout out to Brandon, things were going well and he was really respectful. The same with the MMA training later in the week. But when he ends up with Winged C and the cameras are all focused on him and there's a crowd, that's when things go off the rails a little bit. When he's signing shirts and people are gathered around him because he is an attraction, right? He is a spectacle. So then things have often escalated to where he's saying that he's going to kill his opponents, he's going to bathe in their blood, and some other, frankly, really impolite stuff. He becomes way more disrespectful and way less down to earth. He's already a little bit delusional, but Winged C being around and saying that he's Death Sentence's #1 assassin feeds into the idea that Death Sentence is special. When he was learning and growing the most, he was humble and motivated in a positive way. So having Winged C there to blow smoke up his ass is not helpful. in the slightest. I've talked about this in streams a little bit as well, but people will often tell me to lay off the guy, okay? He's just playing a character. No, he's not. He genuinely thinks that he's a legitimate fighter with the abilities of Goku, Vegeta, and most importantly, Batman. He believes that he has one-punch power. He thinks grappling is gay-based, and he will oftentimes undermine what DJ's saying and think that he knows better, when that can't be further from the truth. On the Mighty Cast that they did in person, he called out Pantoja and Strickland and Jones. No punches were pulled, and he was dead serious. He also threatened to teabag his next opponent, but that, unfortunately, didn't come to fruition. Now riddle me this, ladies and gentlemen. Does the humble man sell, or do things need to be outlandish to get the desired result? If I were Demetrious, I would kick Winged C to the curb. I would bar him from these training sessions because he makes them about 1/10 as productive as they could be. But does productivity make good content? When they were training in the park, Death Sentence said,
"Bro, the 1-2 combination is the hardest shit ever." I'm an open book. I'll tell anything. I don't know my left and right at all. I don't know my left to right because when I fight, I don't really be worrying about which hand I'm gonna use. I just throw basically.
Dude, if you can't decipher left from right, how are you going to do anything? Especially when Death Sentence's goal is to eventually get to the UFC. At a certain point, it becomes play stupid games, win stupid prizes for DJ. Death Sentence has his training arc, but in the background, in the shadows, DJ has an arc of his own, and it's all about building his patience and staying calm despite Death Sentence throwing the most insane social problems at him head on. It is a movie trope where the serious character and the comedic relief character have to become more like each other and work together to defeat the bad guys, right? If you're gonna reap the rewards of the content, you have to persevere through the bullshit. It's the least you can do. And there are other moments where they'll play like goofy Vanos Gaming prop hunt music, and they're expecting me to take this seriously. They're expecting me to take Death Sentence seriously. Or maybe they're not. Maybe I'm supposed to treat him as a joke. Maybe that's the bit. Maybe that's the narrative that they want to run with. It's something that I touched on earlier, but the minute that you have a team and a producer, think about what that word means. He oversees things. He keeps them on track. He makes sure that they are produced to their liking. His job is to keep the narrative afloat, and I believe that the team made quite a few less than ideal choices in favor of putting DJ and DS in awkward scenarios, because that's what gets clipped. That's what's going to make this series successful. It doesn't matter if Death Sentence actually gets better at fighting. It's all about the goofy journey. He's often played for laughs, and that's okay. He's kind of a funny guy. But over the course of the series, the balance has felt a little bit off. Maybe if there were a few more segments where it was overtly shown that DJ learned something unexpected. Oh wow, that's actually a new way of thinking about that. Oh, that's interesting. Or he was the butt of the joke himself, something like that. But any scenario where DJ is the punchline is set up by, isn't it kooky that one of the best fighters ever is hanging out with some schmuck? So it always reflects the joke back on to Death Sentence, and after a while it does feel like we're kind of piling on the guy. Like, he's obviously on the spectrum. I know I'm not allowed to go around diagnosing people with autism. Last time it didn't go too well, although I do feel like I can go out on a limb here and land on a pretty confident maybe. The weird thing is that this is the type of video that MMA Guru might make, imagine, if you will, if this was John Jones training with a differently abled person, making snide remarks, and profiting. He'd be on it like stink on monkey, but since he's buddy-buddy with a Mighty Mouse, that video, unfortunately, will never get made. So somebody had to make it. Somebody had to call it the somewhat exploitative nature of Demetrious Johnson. Because I'm not really feeling it, man. You can laugh at the slow kid a little bit. We all did it. Some of us more than others. But when you laugh at the slow kid for 7-8 hours over and over and over again, isn't this guy strange? Yeah, we get it, dude. And I don't doubt that Demetrious Johnson has helped him in some regards, and he sent him training equipment and mouth guards and paid for gym memberships, paid for flights, paid for all of this. But is he doing this out of the goodness of his heart, or is he making back that money that he spent tenfold? Are these just simple little expenditures? I get it, you gotta spend money to make money. Maybe this is a spend money to make money type deal, where that was always the main goal, was to monetize this. It was never out of the goodness of his heart. It was to find an angle, a narrative that you could build. Oh, DJ's training with this guy because he's so smart and he's making him better, right? When he has made him better, but he's also exposed Death Sentence to an audience that is only there to laugh at his expense. Let me know what you think about DJ training with Death Sentence in the comment section below. Like, comment, and subscribe for more MMA content. Shout out to Shauna, Proletarian Gothic, and Vanny for being vampiric enjoyers. Thank you all so much for watching. If DJ starts calling, you better get crawling, and have a good time.